section title games took over the high school sports scene in Minnesota last Friday, and we're here to bring you through all of what happened. I'm Mary Rominger alongside Bill Hupp on episode 11 of the Sports Den on North Metro TV. And Bill, it's been quite the postseason journey for some of the area teams.
Yeah, we've had some teams make some really nice deep runs. They've played some really interesting games, and we at North Metro TV have been fortunate enough to be there for a lot of that action. And that action started, or continued, I should say, this week at Centennial as they played host to the Edina Hornets, fresh off a victory over Blaine in this Class 6A second round of the playoffs. As Marcus Whiting, the new tailback, the defensive end, also the goal line running back for this Centennial team, plunges in from 2 yards out to give Centennial 7-0 lead after one quarter. But Brady Anderson, one of his 2 touchdowns on the game. He had his way with Blaine last week, and then he ties it midway through the second quarter at 7. But Whiting again on the doorstep, another 2-yard touchdown plunge to give the Cougars the 14-7 lead. We're just before half, and that's how it would end. Scoreless in the second half. Centennial advances on. They win the section title at home.
Centennial Cougars Stadium Field, right after the Centennial Cougars beat the Edina Hornets 14-7 in this second round of the playoffs in the 32-team field for 6AA. And I'm here with the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. So let's start with the defense, because you guys came up big several times. First of all, introduce yourself.
I'm Reese Littlefield, middle linebacker. I'm a senior.
Okay. Yeah. So Reese, when I looked at the stats before the game, you and Timmy Ball are very, very active. Was this what coming into this game did you think Edina was going to do?
I think we knew they were a passing team. I'd say a little more than we've seen. Last game set us up really nicely for this team, and I think that we knew that they were going to come and pass. So we just had a great game plan from our coaches, and we did it.
Well executed. Well executed. And on the offensive side of the ball, and I have one more question for you, so don't go away. Offensive side of the ball, how many times did you actually throw the ball tonight? And I know that's typical, it's a bad question, but Centennial comes out, they line up, and they basically say, we're going to run, try to stop us.
Yeah.
And you guys did a great job.
Yes, sir.
Great. So what was that the game plan? Did you have any special wrinkles that you were trying to throw in for the Edina Hornets? Or was it just what I said? We're going to come at you.
We had a couple special things that we had in our back pocket, but once we got that first drive down and we knew we could just cram it down their throat, that's kind of what we stuck with. And that's our football. We're gonna punch you in the mouth, and we're gonna drive the ball down the field and score on you.
Very good. Very good. So right now, somewhere, Rosemont is playing Wayzata to face you guys next week at Stillwater. Do we have a choice? If you have to play somebody, who do you want to play?
Wayzata or Rosemont?
Yeah.
We'll take on either. That's my answer. We'll take on either of them. We'll compete. I know they're 2 good football teams, and I think we'll compete with both of them.
Very good. Any preference?
I mean, I'll take either, but we want that top dog. We want to take them down. That'd be a real confident booster for this team. And if we beat them, I feel like we got a good chance at winning state this year.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for both of you. Again, Centennial Cougars 14, Edina Hornets 7.
Well said as we take a look at the football game summary. And Finn McElroy did throw for nearly 200 yards. As you see there, Brady Anderson for Edina, 2 touchdowns, 1 in the air, 1 on the ground. But it would not be enough. Centennial, no passing yards, but they did rack up nearly 250 rushing yards on the ground. Marcus Whiting, the decision to turn him into a goal line running back, brilliant at the end of the year. Taylon Cummings leading the attack. And how about the return of Maverick Harper? Hasn't played since the second game of the season, but he's back from injury in the nick of time. He racks up 75 yards on the ground, a real multi-pronged attack for Centennial as they move on to take on the top seed. As we see here in the 6A lower right football bracket. Rosemount awaits Centennial at Stillwater High School on Thursday night. The Irish have beat all comers this year. They're undefeated, ranked second in the last poll, winning by a total score of 97-14, and they have absolutely dominated. Centennial, it's 1 versus 2 at Stillwater.
And Bill, this is where the emotions and the nerves start to kick in, because one win away from advancing to the point where you play at the home of the Vikings, US Bank Stadium, and Centennial, a tough task at hand.
Yeah, they have a tough matchup to be sure. Eden Prairie looking to exact a little revenge against Shakopee in that game. Eden Prairie, of course, losing to Shakopee in the regular season. And then you have Stillwater and Lakeville South in an interesting matchup of ground versus air, and potential there for, if Maple Grove and Lakeville South win, for a rematch of the state championship game that Lakeville South won last year in the semifinals. But a lot of chalk here, all the top seeds playing through, and then a couple 3 seeds in there as well. But yeah, very interesting action on the gridiron, and we saw that as well when Spring Lake Park hosted Rogers.
Spring Lake Park trying to clinch a state tournament berth over Rogers in the Section 6 5A championship. Both programs enter the game with 7 wins on the season. Early in the first quarter, smooth start for the Royals. Reese Dotson rolls right, finding Calvin Coley wide open on 3rd and 10 for the touchdown. Rogers jumps in front. 7-0. Spring Lake Park digging deep to find an answer late in the first. Pitch goes to Matthew Buren, but it's ripped away. Anthony Powell came in hot for the tackle, and the Royals recover. Didn't prove to be a costly mistake. About 2 minutes to go in the first half. Braden Talso deep ball to Eric Bedoy, but man, oh man, the ball is dropped again. It's a theme for the Panthers. Inside the red zone, Mikey Say can't hang on to it. Rogers is all over it. We go to the third quarter. Talso drops back, tosses it up the middle for Bedoy, but Coley pulls it in for one impressive INT. Spring Lake Park frustrated at this point. Watch this one again. Calvin Coley channels his inner Odell Beckham Jr., except it's for the pick in what would have been a sure touchdown for the Panthers.
Yeah, that was a nifty snag. And how about the opportunistic Royals defense that night?
SLP defense keeping their team in it up to this point. It's about time the Royals find pay dirt. Handoff to Powell. Powell burns through the first level of the defense, then the second. A massive run until Freddie Anthony catches up for the shoelace tackle. From there, Rogers extends the lead. Wyatt Gilmore cashes in. Tight end makes the catch in the end zone. Later in the third quarter, don't count out the Panthers just yet. It's the freshman, Lamari Brown, finding the gap to the outside and all the way to the house for 6 to bring it back to a 1-possession ball game. Fourth quarter now. Talso reads the defense, breaks loose on 3rd and 3, all the way up to the 25, and it's desperation time. The Panthers need to find the end zone to keep their playoff hopes alive. But a false start complicates things. I mean, it's just one thing after another, Bill, in this ball game for SLP.
Yeah, turnovers and penalties can really hurt you in playoff time. And not sure if the cold was a factor with ball security, but it was tough for the Panthers that night.
4th and 13. Talso goes to the air, hoping to connect with senior Mikey Say in the back of the end zone, but the shot is over the head of Say, and the Panthers will have to give the ball back to the Royals, and Rogers will seal the deal. Powell crosses the goal line with under a minute left. Rogers wins 21-7, a tough battle for SLP. Uncharacteristic mistakes and a tough pill to swallow after a dominant season.
Yeah, they had another wonderful season, but ultimately, when you play against a team as good as Rogers, you have to take care of the football. And the Royals coming away maybe the best 3rd seed in all of the sections in Class 5A.
Here's a look at the game summary. I mean, we'll start with SLP. Lamari Brown, the freshman, what a promising future and what was a disappointing ending for SLP. Don't worry, Brown will be back, and he was the home to the only touchdown of the ball game for the Panthers. As for Rogers, they finished with 142 passing yards, so the Panthers unable to stop the game up in the air. But nonetheless, Rogers moves on, and they'll collide with Robbinsdale Armstrong in the opening round of the Class 5A tournament. You see it here, Spring Lake Park. Quite the journey to get to the point of the section championship, a first-round bye, and then took care of business against Irondale to then fall 21-7 to Rogers.
A bittersweet ending, but Rogers, a very deserving champion, and Anthony Powell, hard to believe he was 40 yards under his per-game average at 162, but he is one of the top running backs in the state, and he'll certainly be so as well next year. But heck of a season for Spring Lake Park, top seed. So nothing to no slouch there. They had a really great season and just keep coming out game short of state, and they'll definitely want to get back there next year, someplace they haven't been since 2019. Centennial looking to get to a place they haven't been since 2010, the state tournament in girls volleyball. And they had a chance to do that as they hosted the 3rd seed and defending section champion in Forest Lake on Tuesday night, a game we had for you on North Metro TV. Cougars leading 12-8 in the first set when Bethany Weiss powers one down, one of her game-high 14 kills on the night. Centennial would respond, though. Set across, and Cassie Sosinski belted it down. It was a big run late in the set, and then Michaela Speed ultimately gets it just inside the end line to clinch the first set for Centennial. So they won it 25-21 in the first set. Now in the second set, Centennial continuing with the action. Andy Kozlowski, one of her 12 kills on the night. Forest Lake, as good teams do, would not go away. Well defended at the net, but the resiliency as they get it down again to win another set, 25-21. 2 sets to nothing, and now Centennial smells blood, the top seed, trying to clinch it, and that did it. Andy Kozlowski. It was 12-12, and the two teams went back and forth. Just a terrific bit of play back and forth here. Katie Brandel leading the way for Forest Lake, one of their top players, over 2,000 assists on her illustrious career. But that was ultimately what did it. Centennial wins the 3rd set 25-22, and they win it 3-0 over Forest Lake.
Andy, it was a team effort tonight. You
Absolutely.
guys had 3 players with 7 kills.
Yeah.
You led with a dozen. How were you guys ready to come to play tonight, having so many different hitters, including yourself, going tonight?
Well, we just proved we can definitely do a mix-up of shots, and we keep our opponents on their toes. We're so excited to play at Excel.
What were you thinking down on the last couple of points when you guys were inches away from going to state?
I was just hoping everyone would do their jobs, and as I know my teammates can, they did. I'm so excited.
So it sounds like you get some time off school next week. Have you been to Excel Energy Arena before? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I went last year to watch the Forest Lake go, and I was cheering them on, so hopefully they'll do the same, but I'm super excited to have my peers come and cheer us on, and everyone gets to miss a day of school.
All right, again, that's Andy Kozlowski. Also, we have the head coach, Jackie Revine-Manthe here. Jackie, you've been doing it a long time here at Centennial. You've had some really good teams in the past. You've had some great teams that got close. When did you know this was going to be a special group with a chance to go to state?
You know, we talked about this the first week, and I don't think they did not believe it. You know, we talked about our goals and, you know, hey, what our expectations for the year, and they understated what they thought they could do. And I was like, no, you guys, you can have a 20-plus win season, and you can go to state. And their eyes were like, what? Like, really? And we're like, yes, this is what you're capable of doing. And so I was really proud of them for coming out here and proving it. They faced a tough Forest Lake team who obviously was there at state last year, so they had the experience. But this team is led by 11 seniors that you don't see very often, and they really stepped up and didn't want the season to end. And so I'm so happy for them.
Yeah. All right, last question. What are you going to tell the team to kind of enjoy the moment leading up to next Wednesday, I think it is, when the actual tournament starts with all the fanfare?
you know, you have to take it in and you have to enjoy it and you have to have fun, right? It's like, okay, we're going to take tomorrow, we'll relish in that we get to go back and practice. You know, we're not going to be turning in equipment quite yet, and so that's a plus. We get to continue to do that, and anytime you can extend your postseason, it's a plus. And so my goal for them is, hey, we're not done yet. You know, yes, you're going into state, and it's an honor, but let's go do some damage in state, you know, see what we can make happen.
We'll try to do just that, but it was a truly dominant performance over Forest Lake, a team that had beaten Centennial in the championship game of their own invite earlier in the season. But Andy Kozlowski leading the way with 14 kills and 10 digs. Ash McClellan was awesome as always, and Elena Hakey chipped in with 10 kills of her own, the super freshman. But how good does it feel for those 11 seniors to make it to state, a place they have not been in 12 years, and the last time they won state, or they won the section, was at on Blaine's home floor, as you see there. Blaine, ironically enough, the only team to take a set off them this year, but they ran through that Section 7 bracket, and they are the deserving section champions as Centennial advances to the state tournament in the XL Energy Center, where they will face the top-ranked Lakeville North Panthers.
A tough draw for Centennial right out of the gate, Bill.
Yeah, no question about it, and some interesting matchups. Suburban East Conference matchup with Eastridge and Stillwater. Wyzetta, the defending state champion, gets the #1 seed after beating Champlin Park. But yeah, the last rankings of the year had Lakeville North as #1, so the Panthers will provide the test that the Cougars want. But you look at that list, and there's just volleyball pedigree. Rogers on a 21-game winning streak. We saw them play Blaine late in the year, and certainly it sets up for what should be a really competitive and really compelling weekend of volleyball in Class 4A.
And the Cougars have a wonderful mindset right now. It's just go to state, try and advance to get to XL Energy Center, and do some damage. That's a game that should have potentially been more close against Forest Lake. They kicked it into a new gear that we haven't seen yet. So it'll be very entertaining to see what they do in the state tournament. Well, next up, the action at St. Olaf on Saturday didn't disappoint, with the area's cross-country teams racing in hopes for a state title. And for the Class 3A state cross-country meet, Centennial, the girls team, with a 4th place finish as a team, one of the top finishes for the area's teams. It was Kylie Nelson and Abby Smith in the top 35, under 20 minutes. So a strong performance by them. Congratulations on the 4th place finish for Centennial. As for the boys' side of things, Blaine comes in at 12th in the state. Centennial 16th. And for Blaine, it was River Santiago impressing under 16 minutes for the highest placement for Blaine. And then Centennial's pack of Eli Berg and Charles Blockholm stayed close. And overall, wonderful scene at St. Olaf, and congratulations. A long season. It doesn't start when the school year starts for these runners. It starts in the summer, putting up major mileage to get to the point where you can compete at the state level. So very proud of those teams. And as Andy Klasowski said from Centennial, everyone that advanced to the point that they did are just happy that they get one day off of school.
Right. That's the added benefit of getting to state. But no question, anytime you get to state, it's a product of hours and hours and hours of hard work and diligence. And so certainly congratulations to all those runners. I never made it to state myself. I always got knocked off in the regionals of cross country, but so many years ago, and
now we get to watch it, so it's just as good.
Yes, and we'll see if those Forest Lake Rangers go and cheer on their counterparts from Centennial. Go root them on, and you fans out there do the same. And in the meantime, best of luck to Centennial this week, and we'll have a recap of what they did on the next episode of Sports Den. In the meantime, she's Mary, I'm Bill. Have a good night.